For me, I'm going to say no, Skip. You got 4 games. If you want to move on after the season, do that, because I don't know what system that you can install in a month that you think is going to get you over the top.
Okay, then go to the end. Would you cut bait at the end of the year? Have you seen enough?
But I thought coaching was the problem last year.
Okay, well, that's what you've been telling me.
No, you told me that.
No, but I'm saying you've been arguing against that all along. So should they have kept Jason Garrett, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Hold on.
After all that mediocrity?
I bet you would give a pretty penny to be 500 right now, wouldn't you? What would you give right now to be 500 as we sit right here today?
Should have been 10-6. We got decimated on offense. We lost 4 Pro Bowl offensive linemen and a quarterback who's made Pro Bowls.
0-6-6 Jason Garrett would have you in first place in the NFC East right now, Skip.
Well, he's got the New York Football Giants as the offensive coordinator.
And your guy right now, the main man, Skip Bayless, came out here. Ooh, he was happy when he found out Mike McCarthy was the head coach. Now, everybody told me last year it was coaching. It was Jason Garrett, 8-8. Skip gave the man name 8-8 Jason Garrett. I said, Skip, the man named Red. Everybody called him Red. No, 8-8. And then you told me Chris Richard. And you told me Rod Marinelli. So Jerry Jones says, you know what? I hear you, Chris. I hear, because Jerry Jones hears everything. I hear you. I'm going to get rid of the guy that's like a son to me. Going on vacation. We've had family get-togethers. When we have a family get-together, Jason Garrett and his lovely wife right there, because we family.
That is true.
I'm going to jettison my son or someone that's close to me like a son. Just like Jerry Jr., just like Steven, just like Charlotte, the other. Yes, Charlotte. He did that to Jason. So what now? At some point in time, Skip, you're going to have to hold these players accountable. And you keep telling me, Jerry don't want to make the mistake that Philly made with old Walker to and Wentz. Well, he need to worry about the mistakes that he's already made by paying a bunch of guys that's not performing. At some point, you're probably right, Skip. They're probably going to move on from Mike Nolan. But if guys don't play better, guess what? We're going to have this same discussion next year. It's 10 minutes to 8 West Coast time. What's the date? 11th, 12th? We're going to have the same discussion next year at this time. If the players that's on that defense last year and this year don't play better than what they're playing, that's going to be your issue.
All right. So I was on record on this show at least a month ago.
2 months.
Maybe 2 months ago. It's time to drop the mic, at least one of the 2 mics. And it has to start with the defensive coordinator, Mike Nolan. Knew his father, loved his father, have respect for Mike Nolan's longevity in the league, but it's been too long since he did anything good to great. And he is a crony. He is a best buddy of Mike McCarthy, and that's why he's still afloat coaching this defense. Although, I will give you this, Jerry is such a shrewd operator, he may have known a month ago it's time to cut bait with Mike Nolan, but he starts sniffing that high draft pick, and he says, we just got to play this out. Maybe we'll just lose out with Mike Nolan. I want everybody to understand the depth of my anguish over this defense. It's inexplicably bad. It's mind-blowingly.
It's historically bad, Skip.
Hey, seriously, I want everybody, I want this to sink in. If they stay on pace of points allowed, and they're by far the worst in this league this year, they will finish second only to the 1981 Baltimore Colts. In points allowed all time. And it's close. If they stay right on point, they'll just be just a little more than a touchdown short of that team on points allowed. I want that to sink in. That's happening right before your very eyes. And obviously, they are literally getting run off the field game after game.
And because it's Skip, if that's the Jacksonville if that's the Jets, if that's one of these teams, like that's the Cowboys.
Okay, look, we did get decimated, and it's a legit excuse on offense when you lose 4 Pro Bowl offensive linemen and a Pro Bowl quarterback. Yeah, you're going to have a hard time on offense. But on defense, they've had injuries here or there, but nothing like hit the offense. So I ask you, DeMarcus Lawrence, he's made a couple of Pro Bowls. He makes $21 million a year. Aldon Smith, once upon a time, made first-team All-Pro. And I grant you, he hadn't played for 5 years, but the first maybe 5 games this year, he looked like he was on pace to make a Pro Bowl. That's the level at which he was playing, according to everybody, not just me. Lately, not so much. Disappearing act. But I want people to understand that Tyrone Crawford in the middle of that line, he makes $9 million a year, which is a pretty nice paycheck.
When last time you heard him call his name?
Thank you. He's on a 5-year, $45 million deal. So he was paid as an anchor. He anchors nothing. I don't even know that he's playing, but he plays high snaps.
What about your linebackers? Talk about them.
The two linebackers, they are Pro Bowl linebackers, both of them. In 2018, they looked like they were about to take over the league.
Yep.
They're flying sideline to sideline. They're wrecking the New Orleans Saints on a Thursday night at Jerry World. And I'm saying, I got this. This is my future. These are just kids. And I give you, Van Der Esch was hurt for a good portion of the year. But then he came back, and then we saw him the other night.
He looked awful.
He took the bait on a sweep fake that I still, and at least he owned it, but that doesn't make it any better. I got to tell you, he took the bait and starts running to the flank, and Lamar said, thank you.
Skip,
I'll take this.
All he has to do is look at the guard. They pulled a backside guard and tackle.
Okay, I got it. But he left a super highway to the end zone. And Lamar didn't even have to run.
Yes.
Lamar can fly, and he was in like third gear maybe, right? Okay, so my point to you is, I look at it, and I wanted Earl Thomas. I thought maybe you needed one credible player on the back end, and I give you all his baggage, but I just thought maybe he could be a saving grace as an influence of respectability, Pro Bowl aura on the backside of the defense. Maybe he'd make a play or two. Maybe he would not have allowed Baltimore to run them off the field, even though he's more of a free safety. He's not a strong safety. But still, my point is there's too much talent there for me to say it's their fault. They're quitting. The other night, I told you, that was a quit game by this defense. But especially by the second half, they didn't even want to play anymore. And it wasn't like it was raining and freezing cold. No. It was a pretty nice night for football. They just don't want to play for Mike Nolan. So what happened a month ago? Jerry Jones had signed 8 free agents, and I thought they would at least bolster the defense. I'm talking about the Gerald McCoys and the Ha-Ha Clinton Dixes, even the Brandon Hughes Cars. You had them as credible players who have been there and done all that, who can at least lift up the defense to a level of respectability. And what did Jerry do? He cut every last one of them, all 8 of them gone, because they had mutinied against Mike Nolan. And some of their quotes were slipping into Jane Slater's reports anonymously about how bad Mike Nolan was, that they didn't believe in what he was teaching, and they couldn't even understand what he was trying to teach.
I think the thing, one of the mistakes that McCarthy made, and I understand Mike Nolan gave you your opportunity, but this defense, the way they drafted and the way they put it together to play a 4-man front. Mike Nolan comes out and he likes to base out of a 3-man front. So you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got guys that are playing out of position.
Now you're making him stand up, and I just don't think he likes standing up.
That's not him. That's not him.
He doesn't feel comfortable.
No, and you're right. And so, but Skip, at some point in time, though, you got a responsibility. You got contained. You can't let the guy out contained. Skip, I'm watching last night. I'm watching Cooper Kupp catch a touchdown.
Yep.
The DB lines up outside.
He did.
They run sprint motion, and he lets Cooper Kupp get outside of it.
Right in his face. Right in his face.
Bro, like how?
Yep.
They put Alden Smith outside. They line D-Law outside, and they lose contain. How? You can't. They pull, and Wolf Hunter, I know you told him, but they pull 700 pounds. Here come O'Brien, 6'8". How the hell you miss O'Brien at 6'8", 350? He pulling. They pull the back.
By the way, then he's screaming at the TV camera, easy money! Because it is. It's easy money. They're all making easy money.
You actually think, Wolf Hunter, you actually thought they was going to bring the running back to that side and then pull the guard and the tackle and let you have open season on the running back on 4th and 2?
Hey, it didn't work. And you have to, you can't cost DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously, because you're strapped against the cap with $21 million a year, and you gave him his money. Mike Nolan has to go.
What about your my guy, Matt McCarthy? Now, you told me he was a main man.
I'm glad you brought him up. Because I keep waiting for him to do something where, even during a football game, I see that he did what, or he actually intended a call or something. And all that I know he did was, his one moment of inspiration was to take a sledgehammer to a bunch of watermelons in the hotel the night before the Minnesota game, something that offended you, and it should have. And that's he gloated about it. Yeah.
So what now?
That's it. That's all he did.
And
supposedly that that sprang that team into the day after to win 31-28 at Minnesota, and that's all I got. Was sledgehammer to watermelon.
So what's the inspirational tool now? Because now you do realize that anytime with a team meeting, you only get one a season. You can't have a team meeting, okay, guys, and then, okay, guys, it's time for another team meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, you've had your inspiration. You've had your moment.
How many cantaloupes can you blow up? How many, what else are you going to blow up? Squashes? I don't know.
At some point in time, Skip, you just got to go play.
You just got to go play. But you have to believe in the people above you, and they have to be able to push the right buttons in you.
Mike McCarthy don't make the playoffs next year, then what? You will keep it? You got a 5-year deal.
I want Jim Harbaugh. I'll take him right now.
Ooh.
I would.
And speaking of moving on, should the Patriots move on from Cam Newton?